cultural industry,
Yes.
America is made what it is by cultural industry.
Absolutely.
Many of you have never been to America, but you have been to America. That's why every time when America fights with Iran or anyone, you think America is going to win. Because all the movies you saw, American flag always rise at the end and it wins. So they used culture to colonize us, to colonize the mind. And we can use culture to create employment and to decolonize our people. That these are the imperialist forces who are monopolizing us through culture. Artists, look at how many jobs without a state intervention Amapiano is created. Those are artists. And Amapiano, that's why it was able to replace the one that was before Amapiano. Kwaito. Not Kwaito, no, the one after Kwaito.
This is the journey to one Africa.
I'd like to know if you was the president of the country, if you were to form a government of national unity, who was it going to bring on board and why?
Who? Not which party. Who? Individual names. That's interesting. I also see a couple of people nodding there, just in terms of wondering what that looks like. Let me come to you, sir. The CIC is joining us. Uninterrupted time to engage with us here today. And perhaps we know that even the EFF alone has a majority of young people in this country are quite leaning into their policies, leaning into economic freedom in their lifetime. They're not waiting to be in their 70s and 80s before they see that happening. What do you think is quite pertinent for him to address today, according to you?
My question to you is, you walk into office today, you are the president of South Africa. What is your, just in summary, what is your industrial strategy for the country?
All right. JJ, CIC, I might have overwhelmed you there a bit because usually there are tone setters of questions like, what's your favorite breakfast meal? What do you do when you unwind? And then we start with, what's your industrialization plan? As a tone setter, but over to you.
That's too rough. Let's start easy, man. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Yeah, well, it's been a while. It's been a rough year for the look of things. I mean, you kicked off January in what is now called Kwagompo. Yeah. And then April came. How did you feel? I mean, a lot of people, saw you standing there for 2 days, especially this last session of the sentencing, standing there for 2 days and listening attentively to what is going on. What was going through your mind? And is there in your mind even a room where you are thinking, what if actually I end up in prison? What's going to happen to this economic freedom movement in your temporary absence?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity and congratulations with the new platform.
Thank you.
Nothing moved really, even when I was sentenced to 5 years. So when they do a lie detector, they put machines on you like this. And then when you lie, this finger, this one, moves without you giving it instruction. You even wish you can cut it so that you pass the lie detector. So this finger never moved. Because I joined the struggle so young, so much that I'm able to predict what is next. Because in her racism, she showed a dislike for me. And she didn't use the law. She used the feelings. So the law doesn't work like that. That's why we criticize you tomorrow. And to move to the following day when you are on the right side of the law, we agree with you. People say it's flip-flopping. It's the law. Unfortunately, it's not feelings. I might have a strong feelings about Pravin Gordhan and what he did to me. But you can't ill-treat him in my presence and treat him outside the constitution and hope I will agree with you. Doesn't matter how much I disagree with you. I don't work like that. So from the beginning, I just saw that we've got a problem. And that has been an AfriForum strategy, that you ought to charge him with everything and try everything until we get a racist judge who's going to send him to prison. Not because I did anything wrong, because you disagree with me politically and you are unable to persuade me. You decide to use the courts to fight political battles. But I'm happy that we are in a constitutional democracy where there is a recourse. I will go to the next appeal court until the constitutional court, because I must find justice. Why? Justice is, I'm being sent to jail for having discharged a firearm in public. It's a Criminal Procedure Act. So in a criminal case, there ought to be two versions. And the one who alleges has to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that this is what this guy did. So the state comes with the gun and says, you have shot this gun. They even give it a name. They describe it. And I come with the version. And I say, I shot a toy gun. And I give it to her. I say it looks exactly. It has got muscle flashes. It has got the weight of a real gun. I give it to her. She's like, you can replay that if you got capacity.
Is a toy gun story your final answer?
It's a toy gun, right? Then she says, this one who gave this gun that I'm charged with. Actually didn't give me a gun. And then they remove that gun from the case. In Criminal Procedure Act, there are two versions. Once you remove this vision, only one vision stands, which is my vision. Because the state was unable to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that this gun that is being described to have been handed over to me is the one that this guy handed over to me. In the absence of this guy, accused number 2, the gun is removed from the case. As I'm talking to you now, which gun am I being sent to prison for having discharged in public? Because that gun is not there in the police custody. They released it. So when a gun is found to have committed crime, that gun is seized to the state. It's taken away. It's going to be destroyed because it was used to commit crime. Where is this gun that I used to commit crime so that the state can destroy it? The gun that they said I've used is with the firm, is working, is continuing its job. Yet I'm sent to prison for a gun that is not there. So that is not law. That is feelings. We tell her the gun was released before you passed judgment, conviction. The guy was told a night before, come and take your firearm tomorrow morning. He arrives in the morning. He gets given a firearm back. A judgment gets delivered after, because he can only get his gun if he's not found guilty. The state transport the gun from Danzani to East London that morning, which is not heard of, because once he's not found guilty, he has to drive to Danzani so that they release it from Danzani police station. No, mine that I'm found guilty of is released at the back office of the court.
But that assumes that the prosecutor knew the judgment before it was delivered.
It's only fair, because my witness who came on sentencing told the magistrate that the gun was returned before you passed the judgment. She never questioned my witness, which means her testimony stands because it's unchallenged. It's criminal law.
Yeah. But
the prosecutor did not challenge my witness who said, you gave away the gun. It's on record before the judgment. What happens is, on the sentencing day, we mentioned that the gun was released before you passed a judgment. a firearm is released before the judgment. They say yes. The witness said it in front of you. You didn't challenge it. Says, no, I'm just saying, I just want to tell you, this court is not aware of that. This court, which means the court is not listening. The court is not listening because it's racist. It doesn't care who says what. Then the prosecutor stand up to say, let me deal with this thing of the firearm being released. And then he explains. We say to the prosecutor, even if you gave him after the conviction, the not guilty verdict, you had no right. Because once it is used as evidence before the court, it is only the court that will determine what's going to happen to that evidence which was used in before the court. You have no such a power. You abused your powers. That's why we wrote a complaint to NDPP now, that the prosecutor abused his power in that he came into contact with the judgment prior and made this arrangement and so on and so. That's why I'm at ease, because really she was not using the law. So the law and emotions can be in serious conflict.
So in summary, right, you think that you would be able to be acquitted based on all those technicalities?
It's not technicalities, it's a reality. Because there's no another case against me. Yeah. Because you said I'm given a gun. Yes, I was handed over a gun. You describe it. Then you're unable to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. The magistrate removes that gun from the scene. What are you left with? You are left with me alone. There's no any other version.
What would have been an ideal sentence?
And you know what happens? After we debate that thing in sentencing, that when she says, oh, I didn't know what, then we argue that even if he gave him after, you had the role to determine what happens to that evidence. In a sentencing, she doesn't speak about that firearm, which she debated a day before. The following day, when she gives a sentence, that which was a bone of contention to her, that a firearm was released without her knowing, is not in a judgment because she can't answer it.
Your legal representatives seem to concede that even if there may be, for lack of a better word, a case to answer, right, or some kind of responsibility, the sentences must not be so harsh as to be ridiculous, right? So are you saying that, okay, let me ask it this way, what would have been an ideal, if we set aside the fact that you believe this person is racist, there's an agenda, there's a political trial, AfriForum and what, and we're just purely looking at the fact that there was a firearm discharge in public, what would have been the ideal outcome that would be fair in terms of everyone being equal before the law?
I'm equal before the law. I'm not any special. You allege I discharged a firearm in a public space, right? Where there is a joint operation center that is led by SAPS, which is direct opposite to the stage. The person who was heading JOG says, I didn't see any gun. I didn't hear any gun. I was there throughout. The people were there. Not a single one of them complained of a firearm. Not one. On the stage, I had 4 SAPS protectors, which they gave their statements. It's there. And she never entertained that as well. 4 VIP protection from SAPS. If I'm seen to be committing any crime in the presence of the police, they had a duty to arrest
you on the spot.
Immediately. That did not happen. So when you say it's not political, what are you talking about? So later, you come with a video that is not confirmed who shot the video, who took what equipment was. Yes. Then you call Gear House people, you bring the Gear House video. They say, no, the laptop that we used to generate this video is also lost. We don't know what happened to it, but here's the video. All of that has got no chain, because the chain of evidence is broken
Yeah.
throughout. You don't care about that. You really don't care. Why? Because you've got a predetermined agenda.
Yeah.
And that has been my struggle all my life.
Yeah. You said last week that you are a political prisoner.
Yeah, I've been. Like you, like all of us. Those of us who come from township, which Darikanakom doesn't know,
Yeah.
it's reserves. They were designed
So this whole case
for
was
prisoners.
fake. This whole case was fake for 7 years.
Yes, because you have to do a judge hoping,
Yeah.
with a hope that you'll find a racist judge who will not listen. And
All
they
right.
were very fortunate
All
to
right.
find one.
Let's say for whatever reason the higher court says no ways, the magistrate was right. You go on your way to 7 years, 5 years, and there are others are in parallel, right? Has that even been a point of planning of any kind within the EFF that says, should our CSC end up in prison, what's going to happen to the EFF?
Leave the EFF, my wife, my 3 kids. There's never been any planning
Yeah.
because it's not going to happen. I told you many times what's going to happen, what's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Even this won't happen.
What's going to happen to Ramaphosa after the Palapala impeachment?
He's going to jail.
He's going.
Ramaphosa.
No, he won't maneuver.
There's no way. Ramaphosa is going to jail. It might not
is
happen
there a
now.
history of that in terms of our legal system? I mean, just yesterday, the court has now said enough with Zuma, Stalingrad. Come 2nd of February, the trial is starting. It took 20 years, I mean, almost literally, right? Is there, in your view, a possibility that that's what Cyril Ramaphosa will try and do?
Well,
Instead of going to jail, as you are predicting.
that's why I said to you, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Jail is going. Only death will save him. But jail is going. Look at Zuma, 20 years. You can count so many years. He can go and interdict that judgment and then proceed with those appeals and what.
Yeah.
He will still have to stand trial. It's unavoidable. So it's a waste of time. What do you do? Ramaphosa, then people say, no, this is not about the president. Or it's about what? Because they voted against the panel report because it said Ramaphosa must be subjected to impeachment. So everything has got to do with Ramaphosa.
Yeah.
So that judgment, you might say, procedurally, they were saying the parliament did not follow procedure.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's Ramaphosa. But where the Constitutional Court now says, straight. It's like monopoly. Don't claim 4 rand. Straight.
Go straight to jail.
Straight to jail. It says straight to impeachment. Not the speaker will determine whether there's impeachment or they don't say many things.
But what about
Straight
him taking it to
impeachment.
review? Because
No,
they did open that,
but also
that window.
No, they say in the absence of the court order, no one can stop that impeachment. So the review is not a court order. No, a review is not a court order. There must be a judge, like Judge Ludwaba, who said the CR17 is sealed in the office. There must be a judge who says impeachment is stopped until the review is heard.
And that is unlikely to happen because that was a decision of a highest court.
You have to go there. You have to the highest court
to ask them to stop their own decision.
You have to go because there's no lower court that is going to say to the higher court, your decision must not be implemented.
Yeah.
No, you must go to the higher court. Ordinarily, president knows that for him to stop that thing, he has to go to the
politically,
court.
is it strategic for him to stay in office and go through what will be really brandishing of dirty laundry if the report, the Section 89 report is anything to go by from a point of view of the allegations being made against him? Why do you think that he's insistent on going through this process? He's not even trying to go for an interdict at this point to say stop or wait until I review and then you can come in.
You know, I was one of the people who advised Ramaphosa before he was elected ANC president. I sat with him. His team had to call me because they had a problem with him. on how he was conducting his campaign. I sat with him and I advised him. I remember at some point he was questioning me about something else. I said to him, do you want to become a priest or do you want to become a president? And those guys were so shocked that there's someone who can speak to him like that. I said, in a discussion like that, we have to be honest with each other.
Yeah.
So in order to win a conference. Remember, we're stopping a Zuma phenomenon at the time. And I'm made to choose between the two devils, which one is a better devil. And I chose him and I advised him. And we got, even before they knew that I've got a good relations with him.
Yeah.
And then he just developed an attitude after these Palapala things. You know.
Yeah.
Because if I still had that access, I would have said to him, this is how politics work. You must resign. Once you remove yourself from the scene, people lose appetite.
For that impeachment, even that process.
Okay, let me deal with the impeachment.
Yeah.
Impeachment is not about 2/3 majority. Impeachment, it's a court process. You are worried about 2/3. What that's no issue.
Comes at the end. Right at the end.
We don't want that 2/3.
Yeah.
You can keep it for what it is. We're going to put Ramaphosa's workers there. If he doesn't resign, it means he's fighting. Therefore, we'll have to go and sit in that committee and fight. We'll have to put Ramaphosa's workers there.
And they'll tell us all the stories.
Even the ones you don't want to hear, you don't know about them. That's how workers work. You know, JJ. But we lo utswa tšhelete gana kwa polaseng. Bola nnete. Are tšhelete e thomi utswiwa. It's not for the first time they steal the money there. You remember at what year? They tell stories, workers.
Yeah.
There was once money stolen there. And Vuyani was accused.
Yeah.
They beat him to death. There is his shallow grave in that farm.
You
are going to get what you are not looking for. That's what Madlanga is dealing with.
Yeah.
That's what the other committee is dealing with. We are looking for drug cartel. We are now dealing with Nkosi. We are dealing with useless things. But we were told the country is run by drug cartel.
Yeah.
But we're dealing with something else. That's what impeachment is going to do.
So your advice to him would have been to resign in order
once you resign.
Not to have this dirty linen.
And you know why I will not sit in that committee if he resigns. Because remember, that Louis guy you're talking about of the DA.
Yeah.
So uneducated, typical whites, right? He says, no, he must not resign because if he resigns, he won't sit on impeachment. You can listen to this fool. You can impeach a former president. When Ramaphosa resigned, the impeachment doesn't stop. But politically, people lose appetite because you are no longer on their face.
Yeah.
You are no longer here.
What is your
So once they lose an appetite,
yeah.
You know, when the CIC wants to sit there, they're like, hey, chief.
But is that strategic discussion not happening within the ANC?
No, they don't have it. They allow this bully of an SG to run them amok, and the guy has got no respect for process. Doesn't respect even ANC internal processes. That's why when he loses a conference, he disband people and put his lineup as interim leadership. He's going to do that in the Eastern Cape. So he has no respect for process.
I don't agree with what Prof was saying, that if they were to remove him, they're not ready for the alternative. They're not ready for succession.
Prof is wrong. And Prof must be very careful about that response because it borders on racism, right?
How?
Look at the Western Cape Premier.
Yeah.
We don't know that guy.
Alan
Look at who's that? Look at the Cape Town mayor. Who's that? Look at John Steenhuisen. Who's that? What struggle credentials do they have? What do they bring on the table? Yet they occupy positions. Prof is unwittingly saying there is no black person who can succeed President Ramaphosa. That's what she's saying. Why was there a successor we didn't know?
Saying Paul Mashatile skeletons.
I'm saying, why was there a successor in Western Cape that we didn't know of? And no one questioned it? Why? Who's this boy to lead the DA and to run our country from behind the scenes, and no one says, hey, there's something wrong. Who's this guy? Paul
Yeah.
is a rightful successor by the law of the ANC.
As a deputy,
and Prof should know that. The constitution of the ANC says, in a situation where the president is unable to discharge his responsibilities, the deputy president shall take over.
Are you ready for Paul?
Yes. That's what you chose, Mus. What must I do? That's what South Africa chose. What must I do? I have a deputy president now.
Yeah.
If Ramaphosa dies, what's going to happen? And if you are genuine about it, Prof, are you saying Togo Didiza can't be president? If you're honest about it, Prof, if you're honest about it, I'm giving a woman, because there's nobody, I'm helping her, Prof. I'm helping Prof. I am not Prof. Is Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma not capable to be president? Is Naledi Pandor not capable to be a president? Am I not capable to be a president after running such a stable machine for 13 years, despite the challenges? What are you saying, Prof? There's plenty of people. Why?
Yeah.
Because you are a political head. They are people who are responsible for the governance of this country. You just play an oversight over them. That's why Prof can be president. She just passed the motion of no confidence on herself. She said, I can't see anyone outside Ramaphosa. That's wrong. We are just there to play an oversight.
Let's predict what's going to happen. There's a 31-man committee, committee, that is now impeachment, right? What is your prediction? I mean, do you think that at some point sense will prevail for Ramaphosa to see that his review is not going to stop that process? Nor will it make that process better or lighter? Because remember, what he's gunning for, or hoping or praying for, is that some judge will say this report is rubbish, therefore it will stop the process.
That judge will have to face Maya, not me. I wrote to Ramaphosa's lawyers this morning that, remember, we're an interested party. If you are going to review the panel report, please cite us. If you don't cite us, we're going to apply that we must be joined to that case, and we're going to demand cost from you, because we want you that everything you do on Palapala, you must pass here.
So you want to oppose the review?
We're going to oppose the review, and then we're going to oppose any possibility of interdicting the impeachment. Because those are two things. Review has got nothing to do with impeachment processes. Yes. I said to Lebrang, my good friend of mine, Lebrang, I don't care whether you vote against it or not, but I'm going to say to you, this is what your president did. And the evidence is so overwhelming. Use your politics and your numbers and your conscience to decide what you want to do. Let them vote against it, but let the truth come out. And we'll bring the truth out. It's not about, and that's what judgment number 3 says. It says, more than finding voting in favor or not in favor, it is important to be transparent so that when a voter makes the next vote, is aware of what is at play here. Transparency is what your president was elected on. We were told he's the most transparent man, is going to bring accountability, and so on and so forth. What he did since he came into office was to block transparency. That's what he did. He has been seized with blocking transparency, either using majority, now using the courts, because majority are not going to work now. The numbers have shifted.
What do you make of him firing Tolashe yesterday? Do you think it's a last
He's got no moral standing to even talk about Tolashe. We're at the highest level now. When he leaves, Tolashe goes. It's automatic. When a president resigns, the cabinet gets dissolved. So why should I be worried about Tolashe? It's like taking me to concentrate on cockroaches when I'm confronted with a crocodile. I get all of them through him. It's not only Tolashe. Remember, they say Maruping, what's Maruping's name? In the presidency.
Ramaphosa
They say she also, it is alleged,
received the
she
cars.
also received cars.
Yeah.
There are many of them
But
in
it's
that
not,
cabinet.
it's not firing that one.
No. It's not firing Steenhuisen, despite the fact that cows are dying. And Steenhuisen has got no plan on how he's going to save the cows. Remember, it's not just about cows. It's food security. The issue of foot and mouth disease is food security. Direct threat to food security. A minister is not in any capacity to deal with that matter, but he stays.
We are run by crooks, if you listen
So
to Madlanga.
it doesn't care about us, and then don't create an impression with Tolashe that
Tolashe,
you must be seen to be doing something. It's very interesting in terms of ANC internal dynamics, because Tolashe is Mbalula's person, and Tolashe belongs to Krisani faction. Gwede and them, and he went directly there, unless he got consensus from them that let's use here so that we shift focus from you,
yes.
and then we concentrate on it. And that's what all of you are doing. You are falling into that trap of moving from him into non-entity.
I wanted to go to this one saying we're led by crooks, by the Madlanga stories, that he didn't bother even after the first report, which we still haven't seen. I don't know whether you have seen it. That he's not firing the Minister of Police, who's sitting at home earning a salary of millions, close to almost a year now. Right? What do you make of this whole Madlanga thing? Does it put a big question mark on the rule of law in this country? Because it looks like stories are getting worse about what the police are busy with, instead of busy with securing the country.
Yes, I think, like I said, we are losing track of what we are looking for. We are looking for criminal justice system that is run by a drug cartel. That's what we are looking for. We've been concentrating on shenanigans of police. Correctly so. It's within the terms of reference. And then we'll go to municipalities and so on and so forth. We went to Mkunu, we're done. Where are the prosecutors that we've been told have received brown envelopes from out?
I mean the judicial system allegations.
The criminal justice system.
Yeah.
Because the allegation is that police, the prosecutors, and the judges
are all in the
pockets of a drug cartel.
Yeah.
We are not getting a prosecutors. We are done at the ad hoc committee, by the way. We never received any prosecutor. We are done at ad hoc committee. We never received any judge. That's why me and Skosana were fighting. He says, call judiciary here. I'm saying, Skosan, there's no person called judiciary. Give us the name of a judge.
Of a judge or a magistrate.
Then he says, Julius Malema used to criticize judges. Judge. Leave Julius Malema. You are saying judges are involved. Give us a judge. So, we have not gotten into the real capture of the judicial criminal system here in South Africa. We all know police have been involved. We all know police have been involved. And we didn't know to what extent have they been involved. Now we are exposed to that. All of those police that are involved must face the consequences of the law. They will, by the way. Even under Cyril, they will. Why? Small fish. I mean, look at Nkosi. What is his rank in the police? Some warrant, what? Officer or something. Who will not arrest Nkosi? What are the implications of arresting Nkosi? So, it will be easy to arrest the police because it's a small fish. We are not getting the big fish into this matter. And I don't think we are being successful as a result. We are being excitable. We're being excited by being given this one. I mean, they brought a guy there called Zé Nguman. We're all excited because they said he knows Julius Malema. That's why we're being excitable. We're just being excited. We lost the plot. It just took one press conference for me to say, "There's not my son. He's got his father with a high profile. So don't talk to him. Don't talk about him like you're talking about Ratana. Like I'm his father. I'm not his father. But Zay knows Rupert's daughter. Used to go to Rupert's house. They were so close with the son, with the daughter. So much that the daughter will sleep on the lap of Zay in front of the father. You all know that. And you don't say Zay is a friend of Johan Rupert. You say Julius Malema. And you're all excited. But they know that he knows Johan Rupert. So they throw things that are going to excite you to move you away from what was the real issue when we started this process that we've spent so many millions on it. So really, I can tell you, that thing has been moved from criminal justice system into police inquiry.
In summary, if somebody to listen to you to say, what is the solution? You are now in government, or they bring you into government, they make you Minister of Police, and then you've got this Madlanga report so far, or even if it's not a full report, but what you have heard so far, what would be the one or two things that you do to intervene, to stabilize right at the top? Because now a lot of people are saying, why arrest the National Commissioner for PFMA, which half of all those ministers are guilty of?
Exactly. I mean, the problem in the police now is that factions are contesting each other. And it has always been the case in the police. You need to stabilize the police, and you don't need to arrest Masemola to do that. Masemola is not a solution to stabilizing the police. You need a decisive force which is going to say to men and women in uniform, you're going to conduct yourself in this manner, or else I'm going to act on you. That's why Masemola says, no one gave me that report. I didn't know about that. And then it takes a provincial commissioner to call a press conference with your permission as a national commissioner. If a provincial commissioner brings such issues to my attention, I'll call a press conference myself and say, you stay at your own place. Let me deal with these matters. These matters are beyond the province.
Your pay grade,
These are national matters. Masemola is not a solution. So you ought to get very decisive commissioner of police to stabilize.
Would you still appoint Mkwanazi? You already said that months ago, even before he did what he did, that is the caliber of a national commissioner. With what you know now, would you still appoint him?
Absolutely. Mkwanazi is capable of leading the police force. My disagreement with Mkwanazi doesn't have capacity. That's why I said to you, if you are right, I'm going to agree with you. If you are wrong, I'm going to disagree with you. And I expect you to do the same with me. So where Mkwanazi get it wrong, I'll call him out. I'll call him out that I don't need his permission to praise another person and say, you are a national commissioner material. I didn't say you're going to become a national commissioner. It's all within my right. It is within my right to say, when Mkwanazi says, I met Khan through Malema, creating an impression that I was looking for him. I never looked for him. I was told by Khan that Mkwanazi is looking for me. And I'm correcting that thing that, no, tell them that you are the one who was looking for me.
All right.
So I'm not questioning his capacity to deal with the police issues.
I get that. I want to go to the colleagues now to give you a bit of a challenge on a few things you have said.
No, but I want to deal with the issue of EFF having reached a ceiling.
All right, before you deal with that.
No, you can't.
You'll deal with it, but not now.
But he challenged me before he sat down.
I'm in charge here.
But he challenged me before he sat down.
You'll deal with it. I want you to deal with immigration quickly.
Okay.
Right? The last time we had a conversation, I think it was 2 interviews ago, right? I think we did this at Alex FM. I asked whether or not, with all the correctness you may believe you have on how you are dealing with the immigration issue, is there a way in which you have rethought how you're going to repackage this thing as a communication message to the people about what your actual stance is on issue of immigration. Quick answer on that, and then we can engage.
There's no repackaging of anything.
Okay.
Repackage what? You want me to repackage the truth? You are asking me to lie. That's an EFF position is properly captured. Like one of the speakers here said today.
Yeah.
Everybody now says what the EFF has been saying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to follow that riffraff of KZN. A tribalist riffraff that has got no idea.
Who's the tribalist riffraff?
That those people who are marching every day.
Oh, march and march.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then, because of that, I must change my position. Because of fools, illiterates, that make no reference to any law, immigration law, nothing. When you ask them, what do you need in law to be changed to accommodate what you are saying?
Yeah.
They drink Intelis. And then Intelis must change me. That someone is smoking Intelis, and then I must change my view.
Yeah.
Those traditional herbs they take
okay.
when they march, when you ask them questions, and then that must make me change. I can't change. There is no persuasive argument presented
Yeah.
to make me change, except foolishness. And I'm not part of
I
foolishness.
see some countries have said their citizens must be cautious. I think it's Kenya, one or two others, even Lesotho.
Yeah.
You know, saying that there's a lot of xenophobic and so. How do you deal with this whole issue, especially that is riling up other countries, our friends in the continent?
We are not xenophobic. There is a group of fools sponsored by government to create an impression that was xenophobic, but the real issue is black-on-black violence to divert attention from real issues. The same strategy was used in the early 90s when we were supposed to concentrate on what was about to happen, bringing democracy, which was an immediate task at the time. They sponsored black-on-black violence, and interestingly, they did it in KZN and Gauteng.
Right.
And that's where these xenophobic things are happening. They are happening in KZN and Gauteng. Black-on-black violence. It's not xenophobia.
We'll pick it up on that quickly. Ceiling. We're going towards the 2024 elections. Someone said you have reached your ceiling.
Well, it's not scientific.
Okay.
Because he must go and look at Ipsos report of December 2013. So before you make such an allegation, remember, we have to be very clear and scientific about what we're talking about. The Ipsos report of 2013 was putting the EFF at 16%. And that was before the Zuma phenomenon.
Before the MK was
Remember,
was
the
launched.
December announcement of Ipsos will mean a research that was conducted before
December.
December 16. Now, at all material times, material conditions will determine what direction society is taking now. When the Zuma phenomenon came in, it was clear that those who came to the EFF homeless at the time, now they found a home. What they thought was a home. And now they went to vote for Zuma, and that's how the EFF numbers got affected. Materially, what's happening now? Where MKP won elections 2024 with 1,400 votes, and you conduct a by-election there, they win with 700 votes. Which means people are beginning to realize that we thought we found a home, and there is no home there. And they are beginning to come into reality with what they are dealing with. And there lies a reality of the numbers of the EFF. Any objective research conducted in the recent past, it will tell you the EFF is growing and is growing very big, including in KZN.
All right. Let's go to colleagues now to interrogate you a little bit. Colleagues, I'm going to give you a chance to ask the CIC questions, and you can also follow up before we move into the next person. Only move when you are satisfied. Who do you have there to me?
I just want to start from my right all the way to my left.
Okay.
JJ. We'll be going per table.
All right.
As you mentioned, giving our colleagues, a fair
Enough
chance
time,
to really
yeah.
ventilate whatever questions they have before moving on to the next table. So I'll start with this table that I deem table 1. This is your opportunity, gentlemen.
I see.
Baba.
Well,
Good.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Tsapang
Yes.
Moloi, currently part of the state that is unemployed.
Yeah.
Recently, 4 years ago, my contract was terminated. So now, I'd like to know in terms of EFF, we see in terms of they regulate the government department in terms of appointing executives and all other compliant in terms of that. But when it comes to the issue of the private companies, especially around here in Sandton, we've got private companies that they don't really abide to the law of the country. For example, the company that I was working for now, if I were to tell you now, they were deducting people's money, not paying UIF, not paying SARS. So I would like to know if in terms of EFF comes to power, how are they going to make sure that besides fighting the unemployment, how are you going to promote the health conducive working environment? Because if you look at Discovery showed that there's a phenomenon of suicidal because of the working environment. And in absence of suicidal, we have the issue of alcohol consumption. It's driven by the issue of not necessarily only unemployment, but the issue of the working conditions that we find ourselves in these private companies. I will pack it there for now.
No, thanks very much. I think let's start with the first one. Your issue is very specific. And we don't have to get into government. You know that. You have to just talk to Vianney after this. We'll attend to it. Because anyone who doesn't comply with the law of this country, especially labor laws, we've got a labor desk in the EFF that confronts them head on and say you haven't followed the following processes and you have to ensure that you follow those processes. Firstly, the rights of the workers have to be respected because they don't have to have a share certificate to demonstrate that they are shareholders. They are shareholders of that company. And therefore, you don't treat your shareholders in a manner you are describing what happened to you. So many young professionals around Sandton have received help from the EFF where they get ill-treated, especially by the so-called private sector, which thinks they can do as they wish. So be rest assured, we don't need to be in government to deal with that. But by the way, we're in government. So where you are now, you are under the EFF government with an MEC of finance, a young man, highly capable. For sure, you had him articulating the budget of Gauteng. There was not very articulate. And you can see that there's just very good capacity in the EFF, and we are giving it that exposure to deal with those matters. Yeah.
All right. Before we move on, table
Let's
1,
go to
all
table
satisfied?
2.
All right, let's move to table 2.
Mr. Malema, as I mentioned earlier, the EFF seems to be quite...
Please introduce yourself, Mike.
Mike Sham from the State of the Nation podcast.
Okay.
The EFF seems to be quite committed to killing farmers. I was just wanting to know if you have a program, how are you going to do it? Is it going to go region by region, alphabetically? Have you got some kind of plan for how you're going to start killing those farmers, just so that we know what's on the agenda?
Well, firstly, as a podcaster, you ought to be a very knowledgeable person because most of you call themselves podcasters and then you're just saying the most irrelevant and issues that can't be proven anywhere. As a podcaster, if I were to ask you now, show me a policy of the EFF where they are committed to killing farmers. Where is that commitment? Where is that policy of the EFF? You are part of the problem because you are engaged in scaremongering. Rightfully so, because you are a beneficiary of it. You have no problem just lying right in front of the so-called state of the nation. You are lying. There's no such a thing. The Constitutional Court in relation to the song, if you are referring to the song, because you may not know the difference between a policy and a song. That's white privilege, of course. People will not even think you will not know the difference because you are white and inherently informed. There's a difference between a song and a policy. The Constitutional Court has said it agrees with the Supreme Court of Appeal and the lower court. The court said, and it agreed with us, the originality of the song has never meant anything literal. And that the song has always referred to the system, not to individuals. And the song was even sang by white progressive. Not people like you will not have sang about it because you wanted to benefit from the system perpetually, which we're still fighting. So there is no farmer that's going to be killed by the EFF. Because Mugabe did not kill any farmer. Thabo Mbeki did not kill any farmer. Nelson did not kill any farmer. Yet they sang this song. We did not coin this song. Again, because of your privilege, you may not know the history of the song. If you knew the history of the song, you'll know we didn't coin the song. The song comes from the trenches of MK. It's an ANC song. It's a struggle song. We've inherited it and we continue with the legacy of struggle in South Africa. Why didn't you ask ANC, when are you going to start killing farmers? Because you have been singing this song for too long. You know that your conscience is very clear. Your conscience knows that you are lying and you are engaged in scaremongering. And it's wrong. Don't only say conscience must apply to politicians. It must also apply to you, ordinary people, that you cannot go on a public platform and lie. You are not different from those who are going around saying there is white genocide in South Africa. There's no white genocide in South Africa. So please, as a podcaster, I've listened to you and I've seen how you engage your people. Come from an informed point of view. Don't come like you are politically informed only to realize that, no, you are just using your privilege to create an impression that you are informed when you are not. You are not informed. Your podcast is not a state of the nation. It's a state of swart gevaar. It's a state of scaremongering. If you want to kill a farmer, start with me. I've got more cows than you. And more cows than many whites. So don't think when we talk farmer, we talk white person. So you want to kill a farmer, start with me. The EFF will have to start with me. I'm a farmer myself. And therefore, why would I want to kill myself?
All right.
Why would I want to commit suicide? So I'm saying this because Prof said to me, give us something that when we leave here we'll say to our people. But we heard him. I'm saying, yeah, the white farmers have a place here. They are not going anywhere. That's why Trump called them and they were like, where? Assisi. We are fine. Because they know they are fine here. Who wouldn't want to go to America if you are struggling and you are being called by a president of America to come? Those who left, they are on their way back. Because it has been proven that it's a lie. It's a complete lie. So the fact that they are white people who go around saying we want to chase away whites is not true. We want to kill farmers is not true. If I'm going to kill whites, I will have to start with the friends of my kids. And I will have to confront my kids because they're going to say to me, Dad, why do you kill so and so? Why? Because we've become one thing. The fact that you invaded our land, you have been here for so long, that we have been into each other's skin so much that we cannot live without each other. So why would you wish away your relatives? Because to be racism is to be xenophobic. The Lesotho people are not Lesotho people. They are my relatives. They are my relatives. There's no one in the Pedi culture who will not trace themselves back to Lesotho. If you go to Botlokwa Mantata in Limpopo, those Botlokwa, their real name is Mantatis. It's not Mantata. Because Mantatis, when she left Lesotho, she went to settle in Botlokwa. And she changed the surname, not changed it, just twist it around so that she can be accommodated in the area of Bapedi. And then that's why those Mantata people are called Batlokwa Mantatis. So when you say the Lesotho people must be killed, you mean my relatives from Botlokwa must be killed. You mean the colleagues we work with who are white, their children, and the comrades in the EFF, Carl Niehaus, must be killed. And I was saying to the EFF leadership that the problem with the EFF is that we have not gone all out there to recruit white people, progressive white people, to demonstrate to them that we have nothing against white people. It's just that we are calling out a system that privileged them, and they're individualizing it because they want to perpetuate the privilege, and we're not going to allow that.
All right.
If being means hated by those who want to perpetuate white privilege and white supremacists, then let them do that.
All right. Mike, retort.
So then why don't you stop singing the song?
Because I'm continuing with the struggle that was handed over to me by Nelson.
But you seem to have won that struggle.
No, we didn't win. That struggle is the land. That struggle is the means of production. That struggle is that the economic power must be shared amongst those who are here in South Africa working for this economy to be what it is. So we have not won because the struggle was about transfer of political power, economic power, and social power. So, even with social relations, you are still superior than us. Economic relations, you are still superior than us. Therefore, the struggle has not been won.
So until such time as you deem the struggle to be over, you're okay with singing a song that is not universally popular?
No, you want us to stop singing the song so that you can continue to depoliticize our youth. Because you know, with a depoliticized youth, you will reverse the gains of 1994 and create that impression you want to create to me that it seems you have won the struggle. When you know very well, we have not won the struggle. Nelson, when he handed over power, he said to us, the struggle is not over. A luta continua. That's what Nelson Mandela said from his mouth.
So this is like a race without a finish line.
No, there will be a finish line. If you hope it's not going to finish, wait for the EFF to come into power. We'll finish it. And you will still be here, my friend, and you'll be saying, oh, I never thought it would work like that, like you said after 1994.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Let's go to the next one, Tumi.
Good afternoon. My name is Lee Dupree. I am from a company called BE Innovation. We're a triple BE consulting and advisory firm. And my question for you, Mr. Malema, segues very nicely from your response. And it's that we don't hear you speak very frequently about the existing transformation policies like triple BE and employment equity. So I'd like to know, what is your party's position on those? And should it ever happen that you became the governing party in the country, would you scrap the existing transformation legislation? Would you amend it? Or would you keep it as is, bearing in mind your position on radical economic transformation? Thank you.
Well, our policy is very clear. We support triple BE. We don't support the way it was implemented because it was benefiting ANC beneficiaries only. That your company will have to surrender some portion to ANC-connected cabals. That we don't agree with. Our triple BEE is going to start with workers. That's why I said to you, workers are your shareholders. That's how we must broaden it. We must make sure the workers benefit from every firm they work for, because they are the ones who are sweating. They are the ones who are selling their labor in those firms. We will not scrap triple BEE. That's why we are in court. Everywhere where triple BEE is being challenged, we are there to defend it. We are in court to defend Expropriation of Land Act, which is not even as radical as the policy of the EFF, because it doesn't say without compensation. It just says expropriation. That is something else. You know, they've met us some halfway. So we may not agree entirely with how they want to approach it, but the fact that they give some power to government to expropriate with some compensation or something like that, that's fine. As long as we can expropriate, then we can talk about the other things. We have achieved the first part. The second part is waiting for the EFF to govern so that we can expropriate clearly without compensation in the public interest and for public use. So that's where we stand. We will not scrap it. We'll give it a radical version of it and make sure it is implemented. No white firm is going to leave. Capitalism doesn't run away where it thinks it's going to make money. They're just going to look at your policy and say, how do we maneuver this to make money within the same laws? What capitalism doesn't like is policy uncertainty. That we are going to wake up tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen. As long as they know the policy, they want to work, how are we going to navigate profit within the same laws? So the white people who hate the EFF say, because our policies are the same as the ANC, by the way. Our policies are ANC policies, but the radical version of the ANC, not the Ramaphosa's version. Because let's go to the ANC. ANC says expropriation of land without compensation, by the way. But you choose, you say, if you go into alliance, into coalition with EFF, it's a doomsday. But you go into the party, into coalition with the party that has got the same policies as the EFF.
Yeah, and from the recent conference,
yes,
the resolution on land.
Ask any question, Prof, on policies between EFF and ANC. We are aligned. We are just the radical version of it. But the policies are the same. So what are you using to determine the doomsday? Because the doomsday is policy. Where we governed, nothing became doom. We were in Ikuruleni. Everything became bloom, not doom. When we left Ikuruleni, everything collapsed, became doom. We are now in Gauteng. We are MEC of Finance in Gauteng. What is doom? Which investors disinvested in Gauteng because MEC of Finance is EFF? It's a lie. And those who are saying, no, if you go with the EFF, investors are going to run away. It's not correct. It's a lie. So, we have demonstrated everywhere where we governed. I was saying to the colleagues outside before we came in here, that do you know we started governing this country from 2016? When we said to when the ANC lost the metros and we said to the DA, take them. Because we said to the ANC, let's share the metros, they refused. We said to the DA, take them. From there we started influencing the policy of this country. Mashaba was a mayor of the EFF. It's not a lie. He couldn't make any move without the EFF, and he was DA, by the way. Mashaba's policy on insourcing. Someone says Mashaba became a mayor. Within a year, he hired so many people. Those people were hired by EFF. Go into the records. Why do you want to become analysts that don't read, don't research the recent history? We said to Mashaba, we're not going to vote for this budget as long as it doesn't have insourcing of security guards. That's how we hired the security guards as the EFF. We took Mashaba to Elias Mutwaledi in towards Soweto there, next to where the Freedom Charter was adopted. We showed him Cape Town. We showed him the area. And we said, these people don't have toilet. He was shocked. And he couldn't move since those times as a mayor without bouncing back to the EFF as to how do we move on this one. Now, the white people who hate the EFF tell the truth. They say, we will not choose the EFF not because there's anything different from the ANC, except that the leadership of the EFF is intellectually superior to all the parties you can think of, including the DA. There's no party in South Africa that can intellectually match the superiority of the EFF. And they're scared to get those people because these people who hate the EFF say the EFF will do what they say they will do. The EFF, the ANC won't do it. The ANC says we're going to expropriate land without compensation. We vote with them because we know they won't do it. The EFF says we're going to expropriate land without compensation. We don't vote with them because we know they will do it. So we're being punished for doing what we say we'll do. And that's in relation to BEE. We're not going to do it when we're in government. We're doing it now. That's why we don't support Elon Musk. He must comply with the laws of this country. Otherwise, he must not be attended to. It doesn't matter how much lies he tells about us. We must never surrender to a lie. It must be deliberate to empower black people because it was deliberate to exclude them. It was by policy to exclude them. Right. And it must be by policy to include them.
Right. Lee, retort?
I agree with you on Elon Musk. My follow-up question will be, if you intend to make the implementation of the policies more radical, how would you make business feel safe? Because business, whether it's white or black, don't like anything radical in general. So how would you encourage them to continue investing if you're going to tell them that you're going to become more radical in implementation?
Business is very radical itself. That's why they just fired this guy. That's how extreme business can be. So radical means we are not going to benefit the politically connected. We are going to benefit the broad black nation, which was excluded. That's what radical means. It means everywhere where it doesn't apply, this triple BEE, we are going to make sure it is applied. And we don't care what is their connection. That's what radical means. And they know what we mean. Because these mines today, they can't comply with anything, including the social responsibilities that they committed to. Because the shares in the mines are given to the politically connected. When the masses say, but you committed to build a clinic, you committed to build a school, the politicians are used to go and suppress those masses and to leave that mine alone. It will not happen in the EFF. You are going to give, if you have that politician with you, those are your own issues. Deal with them. But the portion that you said you are going to give to the masses, you are going to have to give it. There's no anywhere in South Africa where there could be a mine without a tar road. And a proper tar road that is the quality of Sanral. I saw Patrice Motsepe doing it in Skukuni, in one of the mines, building a proper, beautiful road in Skukuni. So we want the same everywhere. He was talking water in that mine in Skukuni, Mudigwa, for the community. I've then made follow-up. But that's what we want every mine to. When they say there's a mine that is going to be opened here, there must be happiness by everyone. That's what broad-based means. It doesn't mean these crooked arrangements of politicians benefiting on behalf of the masses, that you must watch us eating and you must be full.
All right.
Thank you, Table 2. We'll move to Table 3. Tulas?
Good afternoon, JJ, Mr. Malema. I'm Tulas Wesemelani. I'm a broadcaster and candidate legal practitioner. Mr. Malema, I've got 10 questions for you. But in the interest of everyone, I'm going to ask a very basic and foundational question, and then what I consider to be my most pressing of the 10.
Okay.
Then you and I can engage in future. My foundational and basic question, it occurs to me, Mr. Malema, that values, not that it occurs, values are important. That's why our constitution starts there, laying out the values that say, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And in politics, there's a lot of caricaturing and bastardization of positions. And it occurs to me that we've been engaging with you since your political career started, and I suppose, unless someone else has asked it, I've never asked you the basic question of your values. What do you believe in, you, not the EFF? We engage with your policies all the time. We question your tactics in politics, but I don't believe we've ever asked you, what are your values? What do you stand for? People sometimes accuse you of flip-flopping, etc. What do you stand for? What are your worst fears? What motivates you to connect with the policies and tactics and the beliefs of the EFF? Then my follow-up will be my most pressing of the 10 questions.
My values is equality. I want to see all of us equal in this country. And I want us to benefit equally from the economy of this country, from the government of this country, and from the mineral and natural resources of this country. Those are the values I live for. And those are the values that makes me to wake up every morning to continue the struggle for economic freedom. And therefore, that's what drives me, what connects me to the dynamics of ordinary South Africans on a daily basis, is the struggles that our people are confronted with in relation to my values. As long as that has not been achieved, I'm duty-bound to continue this struggle until the last person is liberated. I was saying to JJ that, one day we're in the youth league, and Floyd said to me, let's go and buy food, traditional food in Soweto. And I was like, why not? We were sitting in the office, so we drove to Soweto. And when we parked, it was in Shawela. We parked at the house. It looked exactly like my grandmother's house during those times when I was young. And before I changed my family condition, I was like, this is bad, man. So we went in. When we went in, it smelled exactly as the way my grandmother's house used to smell at the time. And then something just disorganized me. And I said, you know what? You'll find me in the car. That's when I realized I was losing connection with the realities of our people on the ground. That's where I realized that I was enjoying palace politics. And I was becoming detached from the masses of our people. And I told Floyd when he came out of that house that this is bad. We listen too much to ourselves, that we have built so many RDP houses. We have empowered so many people. But those have not translated into reality that affect positively our people on the ground. So those are the people that I connect with, and those are the people that make me fight on a daily basis, because I come from there. I don't read about this. When I get exposed to it now, all memories just come back that, Kana, this is what I joined the struggle for. And that's why I must continue to fight.
I'll tell you why I asked the question, because sometimes, based on your values and people's readings of your values, they seek to predict if X happens, what would then happen? And a typical example, the best example I can give, is this whole conversation about what happens if you go to jail. And I suppose from my part, from a leadership perspective, we would expect that it would be your values that guide how you lead such a scenario.
Exactly.
I don't know if that makes
it's
sense.
My values. If you listen to my argument, my argument were on equality. Those are my values. The equality before the law. And on the basis of that, I challenge that court decision. It is my values that have made me to stay in this position, to continue even when I'm sentenced to 7 years. Why? Because I must be treated equal before the law. And those values are the ones. So there's nothing flip-flopping about that. It's my values. They apply to me in as much as I fight for you, for those values to be applied to you.
So my most pressing question is more current and current affairs, and this is my parting shot. And it links in a way to what you said outside the court in Gugombo City, East London, your criticism of the magistrate in that case. Help those of us who grapple with what appears to be a dichotomy or, I don't know, a contradiction of sorts for how you stand up for the judiciary in many instances as a commissioner on the JSC. When it comes under unwarranted attack, you stand up for it as the bulwark of our constitutional democracy. But match that and reconcile that for me with the strident criticism you've found to be okay to level at this magistrate in a context where magistrates' organizations, the association, is talking about how on a day-to-day basis they are under pressure. They are facing threats, they are facing increasing pressure and that kind. And this is not to say they are not open to criticism, but when it goes as far as, and I didn't hear you say this, so you can correct me if you didn't say it, as far as you saying that you were getting tired of seeing her face, something like that.
Her ugly face.
Her ugly face,
Yeah.
that was reported. And not saying more about what is it about that judgment that evinces racism, as opposed to perhaps she misdirected herself, and you know better than anyone how to challenge misdirections in terms of the law. So reconcile for me that what appears to be a dichotomy for some of us.
No, I will not know better than you as a potential graduate of law how to challenge a misdirection. I leave that to you as lawyers. I speak as an accused and I speak as a politician. So political speak is not giving a lecture in a room. It has got its way. You ought to conduct it. Because if a politician was to speak like lecturers, then there's no need for politicians. So there is a way politicians speak. And that has got nothing to do with disrespect for the rule of law. I earlier on demonstrate to you how racist she was in my case. I demonstrated how justice must be done to me and how I must see it being done to me. So, and that's why I've seen injustice meted to me, and the basis of that and rationality behind that is racism that is advocated by AfriForum. Look at Ngokai Tobi when he mentioned AfriForum, how she reacted. It was not her reacting. It was the subtle racism in her that reacted. So if you need anything, go and look at her. You couldn't speak about AfriForum in front of her. She was not prepared to hear about AfriForum. And why is that not racism? So a magistrate that rules based on political views and personal feelings has got the right to fear for her life. But a magistrate that rules according to law, and you want to kill her because she ruled according to law, she must be prepared to die for the laws. And say, I don't care, I didn't do anything wrong. I will die with my conscience very clear that I used the law to convict this person. And therefore, it doesn't matter what they say. But once you use other things outside the law, you've got all the reasons to fear. I protect judges everywhere, magistrates everywhere. But I criticize judgments by magistrates, which is allowed. The judges are not above the Constitution. They themselves are a product of the Constitution, including the Constitutional Court. Constitutional Court is not a constitution. It derives its existence from the Constitution. And it has got a duty to respect the Constitution. And the Constitution says to all fear, all are equal before the law. And that's what I'm challenging. And those are my values. So I'm not acting outside my values. And that's why I said to you, this finger did not go up when she was doing what she was doing, because I knew this is not law. This is something else.
Okay, thank you, Tulas. Tessa?
CIC, you were quite animated at the question about the ceiling.
You didn't introduce yourself.
Oh, excuse. It's because JJ knows my name, so JJ knows me so well.
Yeah, he just calls you by name.
Tessa Dooms, I'm from the Rivonia Circle. So you were animated about this idea that the EFF hasn't reached a ceiling, right? And for me, that's been one of the biggest questions about the EFF is, what does the EFF consider as its base? If you had to describe the EFF's base, who are kind of the rank and file of the EFF who are going to go for the EFF no matter what happens, no matter whether there is MK, whether there's anyone else, who are the consistent members of the EFF? And I ask this in the context of a few things. So I don't want to ask many questions, but I'm going to embed them in this one. The first thing is that one of the most organized parts of the EFF seems to be its student command. So correct me if I'm wrong, that seems to be the base and the place of organizing that has been strong. The EFF has, even in its conference eras, spoken about your concerns about your branches and your structures within communities not being as strong. But that has not been the case with the student command. But then the question, because the student command has been strong for a long time, the question is, are those students then not, when they graduate, are they not staying with the EFF? Are they not staying voters of the EFF, members of the EFF? What's happened with the attrition within what seems to be a very strong student and youth base? The second part of it is that the EFF has been one of two parties that has had an anomaly within the South African landscape of focusing on registering new voters. The other one is the PA. They've grown through new voters, and the EFF has been consistent on always having big registration campaigns. I think about a week or so ago, you pointed it out as well, that the ANC, the DA, the other big parties are not going to try and register new voters. They don't want new people in. They want the known factors to come in. But at the same time, before the 2024 election, the EFF said you had hit 1 million members. And then when we got to the results, it didn't bear through. I refuse to believe that that's simply a matter of the MK party, because that assumes that, you're just taking from the same pool of people and they just move to MK. That's too simplistic. How do you explain in that context why the EFF's numbers are not doubling and tripling? Is your membership base not solid?
No, thank you very much. As a Rivonia cycle, you can't say it's simplistic without basing it on scientific argument, because you ought to go back to the results and look at where did the EFF lose the votes. Where the EFF lost the votes is where MK got the votes. That's how scientific it is. It is in KZN where we lost thousands of votes, and MK benefited from that. And then you come to the portion of Gauteng, that side of Katoras. Katoras has got full meaning. Kutso, no. Katleong, that's in those hostels there. That's where MK benefited. Then you come to Soweto in the hostels. That's where MK benefited. And the EFF vote there went down. Then you go to Mpumalanga. In Mpumalanga, where MK benefited, it's where it used to be Natal, KZN. So the democratic dispensation then cut it and sent it to Eastern Transvaal, which we now call Mpumalanga. That belonged to Natal. So more than anything, I don't care who says was, the MK is a beneficiary of a tribalistic vote, because then you go right into KZN, you go to that municipality where Mutolo comes from, that side of Kokstad or something, where they speak Xhosa. Kokstad, where the Xhosa-speaking people are found in KZN. The ANC won that area. The MKP did not win that area because those are Xhosa-speaking people. So that's how scientific the whole thing is. And the base of the EFF is the youth, as you have described it, is the youth, a black youth. It doesn't matter whether...
Not necessarily students.
No, black youth.
Black youth.
It doesn't matter whether they vote for the EFF or not, because the problem is when you want to attribute struggle only into voting. The struggle is about what do people resonate with on their daily struggles and what seems to be coming for them in terms of problems that they're confronted with and resolving those problems. So the black youth based in the rural and township and in the institutions of higher learning. So that black youth, there's no youth vote that you say, yeah, today is only youth voting, unlike the students. We are able to demonstrate it with the student because in the institutions, it's exclusively for students. Now, what was interesting is that the 2024 elections, where we are told to have declined, you must go into the suburban areas. The EFF votes grew in the suburban areas. Why? The EFF now has begun to attract the black middle class, which can relate with it because as the rejected and the dejected masses in the past were defined by black, unemployed, poverty, and all of that. Now, the rejected now include the black young professionals who are subjected to daily racism at their workplace. And the EFF speaks about this all the time. And the good thing with them is that they can read, they can write. So if you are to move into the suburbs and check, why did the EFF support increase in the suburban areas? It is these black young professionals and intelligentsia that begins to appreciate the message of the EFF. The EFF is only 13 years old. And the EFF is coming up with what we want but don't want to say. And therefore we are a bit uncomfortable with it. How do you overcome that? You have to stay on principle. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. Because the ANC it shifted with the arrest of Mandela, with the exiles and the apartheid torturing of people, wouldn't be where we are. It took the ANC from 1912 to get us democracy in 1994. You can make calculations how many years it took them. But those old people of the ANC never moved. They said, we are all going to vote in this country and the majority must rule this country. And it happened exactly as is. So if you are not for immediate palace politics, but about longevity and about inculcating the culture of radical perspective in society that is reluctant to say the things you are saying, you are duty bound to be patient because you ought to inculcate the political education amongst the masses of our people, whose enemy's intention is to depoliticize. Remember, they sponsored Twitter, sponsored media that attacks the EFF daily in an attempt to depoliticize society because the EFF looks like it's going to win in politics. A politically conscious society cannot allow the minority to preside over their affairs without taking a political stand that this has to stop.
Tessa, you
quick
retort?
rebuttal. Quick retort. But that's exactly part of my reasoning around the MK thing being oversimplistic. In that if you are building strong structures, if you're building a politically conscious organization and base, then hopefully they are going to be able to resist the coming in of a tribalist party. So just the quick answer is, or the quick question is, how do you then intend, and what does the EFF need to do differently about the way it organizes itself to make sure that it resists those outside challenges, but that if you're getting votes in suburban areas, that you're actually organizing those people on an ongoing basis and not just hoping that their consciousness hits them in the ballot box?
You know, there is a difference between ideological politics and electoral politics. So you asked me numbers when you used electoral politics to say you are being simplistic because you are not talking about how you are going to politicize these people. That's why I'm dealing with both the ideological perspective and the electoral numbers. But this is how the numbers worked. But ideologically and politically, you ought to resist the electoral political outcomes because you have a mission. And that mission is you have to build stable structures and politicize those structures so that they can politicize society and they resist this kind of depoliticization of our society. So all we do is to build structures. That's why we've got a youth command that you are saying maybe after they leave university, they get lost. You, again, go and look at the composition of the EFF leadership, nationally, provincially, and sub-regional level, and the branch level. Go and look at public representatives of the EFF. The most articulate and those people who have taken the position amongst their peers in the EFF is the student command products. And therefore, as a demonstration that we are not losing them, and that's why I was speaking to them the other day, I was saying to them, you have to appreciate that before you are student, you are members of society. You ought to appreciate the challenges that are confronted by society. So you need to go back and fight those challenges in your communities. So we are the party that has sustained its constituency and has sustained its membership and has managed to integrate a generational mix within its membership and the leadership, including the gender question. Remember when we were coming up as the EFF, we used to be criticized that we don't want women, we do this and all that. Today, there is nowhere where the EFF is not led by women. The other day I was sitting at home, the council collapsed at Ikuruleni, and then the EFF had to give a response as to what happened. And I'm watching a TV, 3 women alone articulating a position of the EFF. It happened again yesterday when we walked out of Parliament. A woman was articulating a position of the EFF. All the sub-regional conferences of the EFF, sub-regions means municipality, at the municipal level. That's where the second layer of leadership of the EFF is. All of them, their conferences, not a single conference was constituted by less than 50% of women. And the policy of the EFF is that there must always be 50% representatives of women. And there's no story of quality, there's no quality. Quality, you build it. If you find an RDP house that is given to you by the ANC, you can't refuse it because it's not quality. You take it and say, I will build from here, but these people, what they gave me is not quality, but you then get those quantity and transfer them into quality. And that's what we have done with the Youth Command. The loudest positive voice in Parliament of the EFF now is Sihle Lonzi. All of those achievements we have made, they were led by the convener of the youth command. You're talking Naledi, you're talking Vuyani, you're talking Snao. Those are the youth command and Feast Must Fall products that we have sustained. The ANC brought some lady there to counter Vuyani of Feast Must Fall, and then they realized she's not doing what she was brought there. I don't know where she is. We are the only ones, if you're looking for the Feast Must Fall and you are writing for you are doing a documentary, come to the EFF. That's where you'll find them. That's how we've sustained our youth in the EFF.
All right, thank you. Table 3, table 4.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Mtunzi Mdwaba.
That's Professor Mdwaba.
A rural
It's
boy.
not the one who was fighting the Mbalula.
That's the one.
Oh.
Yeah.
A rural boy and a business activist.
Sure.
I refuse to be distracted.
Yeah.
And congratulations, JJ, on finally being in control of your narrative. I think it's about time. And just as a by thing, because you ended with Feast Must Fall, this man got me into a lot of trouble when I was chairing the University of the Western Cape Council during Feast Must Fall. I got into big trouble because of him. But I also have quite a number of questions, but I'm going to leave them, and I'm resisting the temptation to go into some questions that I think you refer to as cockroaches. I'd rather deal with the crocodiles. I think it's far more important. And in doing so, I just wanted to state some facts that we all know. One of them came from a question, I think, that side about industrial policy right, at the beginning. It's a fact that we don't have an industrial policy for the country. It's also a fact that we don't have an employment policy for the country, contrary to what people believe. There isn't one at the Department of Employment and Labor. It's a fact we don't have a productivity policy. And in fact, if you link productivity to competitiveness and you look at the global competitiveness index, South Africa during President Mbeki's time was about number 44, I think, out of 61 countries. We are now 64 out of 69 countries. And it is believed the only reason we're not touching the bottom of the barrel is because Ukraine and Russia are at war and all the other wars. Otherwise, South Africa would be number last. It's also a fact that we are struggling with the discussion between, or the reality between informality and formality. There's a raging debate at the moment on should we even be talking about formality and informality rather than looking for a third way. Nothing that says if you're informal, therefore you're looking to be formal, because that's not necessarily true. And then I thought to avoid going into the other questions, I must also state another reality. I think it's important when it comes maybe from people like us, not from you as the EFF. So from a political point of view, there's no doubt that we got some relative emancipation in 1994. But from an economic point of view, it's very far from Uhuru. So I think people need to make that distinction. It's very important, especially with your conversation you were having with that other gentleman that side. Now, given all of that, there's a big elephant in the room that we all know about. And the elephant in the room is that South Africa does tend to have some of the best policies in the world, but no implementation at all. So when somebody talked about radical implementation, I was a bit tempted to say, well, radical is an extreme form of something that exists, but we don't have implementation, full stop, right? Then we've got a section that has no policies like the ones that I stated. So for me, my question to you would be, when you become president as one of the many candidates, again, disagreeing with the professor, because I think the professor is really flawed on saying there are no people. There's lots of people. South Africa is rich with talent. Some of us who've traveled the world, Prof, have been to at least 70%. I'm on the floor now, Prof. Prof, I didn't interrupt you when you were speaking. Please allow me. Maybe you'll get your chance in episode 2. But now it's me. Yes. So some of us have had the blessing and the privilege of traveling all over the world. I've probably been to 70% of the world, So I speak with serious conviction and authority when I say that everywhere I've gone, I've met South Africans who are so successful, very successful. People think there's light coming out of our backsides, right? From a work ethic point of view. So there's lots of people, lots. And when you count, please don't limit it to parties. There's people beyond the parties that you've never heard of, like you'd never heard of the Western Cape person, as an example. So for me, my interest really is you become the president or you have influence on what happens because now you're a big player in whatever formation you have. What does your industrial policy look like, to echo that question? What does your employment policy look like? What does it solve for? You know, what are we looking at? What does your productivity policy look at? What is the mistake of the ILO? You know, I used to be in the ILO, so I'll be the first to fall on my sword and say one of the mistakes we made, and I was there, is to come up with a resolution 205 that says that we are going to transition all people in the informal sector into the formal sector, which is rubbish. And I was party to it, you know, part of my growing up. Because you can't, in a country like South Africa, for example, that has 65% informality, you can't squeeze the 65% into the 35. And you don't want to. Anyway, it's an insult and it's patronizing. If you go to Nigeria, you can't take 95% and squeeze it into the 5%. If you go to India, you can't take 95% and squeeze it into the 5%. If you go to Colombia, you can't take 70% and squeeze it into the 30%. So it's nonsense. It needs to be changed. But we do know that South Africa is the biggest ratifier of anything ILO. And this is important for me because from a geopolitical complexity point of view, with the United Nations being in a mess and ILO being part of the United Nations family, how do you, recognizing our past, recognizing our colonialist masters, recognizing the mistakes we've made, not because we don't have the talent, but because we tend to be bullied by those who have the media, hence it's good people like him have got an alternative platform. How do you come up with a team that's going to recognize the inbuilt incongruences, the conundrums we have with even the FISMAS-fall kids? One of the things I used to say at the UWC was, it strikes me that the FISMAS-fall kids know what they're talking about. They're smart. But the problem was even they never recognized how colonized they were themselves. Because, you know, for example, here, we're all speaking in English. If I were to speak in Sesotho or Sepedi, people would say, oh, his English is found wanting, like I think that stupid president of another country did recently in Africa. So how do you then take us from this point that we are, where we are just ratifiers of conventions? You know, Convention 131, for example, is a very good example of a failure to implement. Convention 131 is on minimum wage dispensations. It's Convention 131 of the ILO. Convention 87 is a freedom of expression, and so on and so on. There's many, but there's no implementation there. The unions have failed to protect the workers completely, and will continue to fail because of certain obvious reasons I don't want to go into because, again, I'm mindful of time. So all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof. You know, firstly, what we did not sustain as a country is that strategy of President Mbeki of putting the best around him and manage to grow the economy. We might have a problem that as it was growing under him, the masses on the ground did not benefit from it because the inequality increased and so on and so forth. But we then took the best out of positions based on factionalism and who can be the loudest sloganeer and all of that. Because we are proposing a very radical yet very simple strategy when it comes to industrialization. We ought to strengthen the state capacity in that we build our own companies, state-owned companies in construction, in mining, and some will argue that those companies are there in mining, but they are not doing anything. If they are there, then you take them and you grow them and you make sure that they are functional. And then you nationalize these mines. So someone says, okay, you're going to take Anglo's mine. When you nationalize, I say, no, I don't take Anglo's mine. I give the mining rights to the state company. And then they mine. And they mine so well that it renders Anglo irrelevant. And you can't say, no, it's not possible. It is possible because Anglo is a private mining company. And Mediclinic is a private hospital company. So if a hospital can have a private company running private hospitals, and we have state running government hospitals who can have a state running mines and private running mines. But you must run them so good such that even those ones that are private don't see the profit and need to exist because there's no profit. In that way, we take over that mining sector, and that's how you nationalize it. Without nationalizing it in a hostile manner. You do it within the current existing constitution.
So that sounds like a private-public partnership.
No, we don't partner with them. We create our own state-owned mining company, and we run it. Yes. And then, how do we run it so profitable? A mining right that is profitable, meaning a product is not found far, like the platinum, not platinum, the chrome in Mukopane, where Anglo is mining. It's just here. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get to that chrome.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you give to government, so that government makes money even without spending too much money. And then the professionals, prof and them, will see how they navigate that. You must hire people with the necessary qualities who can run these things and make them profitable. Remember that guy who was running ESCOM? He went, I don't know his pension or what. It's black consciousness guy, man. I don't know why I'm forgetting. I will remember now. The CEO. The former CEO of, not ESCOM, Telcom. Sipo.
Yeah.
Sipo Masu. If you have, not Masego, if you have someone like that, running one of the state profitable companies, you know he can do it.
And he made Telcom one of the most profitable.
It's not scared to take decisions. Whether we're happy as workers, but he looks at what can we do now to build this thing? And we know once this thing is solid, we're able to then ensure that everybody benefit from it. After nationalization, you industrialize, meaning that which we take out ourselves, we beneficiate it here in South Africa. And that's how you boost production here in South Africa, because you cannot allow a situation where all these trucks take the product to be processed somewhere to support the industry of those other countries, including creating jobs in those other countries. Only once we start beneficiating here in South Africa, then we'll talk industrialization, where we're able to produce a product here in Groblersdal, and then next door in Groblersdal, it gets processed there.
Turn into product and exported.
And then you can even sell it locally, including continentally. Because after processing it, you have to now sell to those who are going to produce the finished good. If it's diamond, those who are going to produce jewelry and all of that, they must polish it and cut it here and produce the final product here. And then let's sell the final product. That's how you change the status quo. Not where, as we're told, any precious product that is profitable, it has to be sold outside because there is an international price. The price here at home is not competitive. So we ought to produce here and process here, industrialize our economy, and not deindustrialize it like we're doing now, and then we create jobs. So we must revive manufacturing, for instance. If you compare the contribution of manufacturing in the past even 30 years to now, it doesn't come anywhere close. Its contribution to the GDP, it has extremely declined. So once the contribution of manufacturing declines, it tells you're not industrializing, you are deindustrializing. So we ought to change that and make sure that, for instance, manufacturing goes back to its glory days, or if not beyond that.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens in different sectors, because all we did, we deindustrialized and financialized our economy, and the biggest contributor to the GDP then becomes the financial sector, which by its nature doesn't create jobs, because everything now of financial sector is done here. I don't have to go to someone to help me or anything of that sort. So that, I think that radical intervention will help. And there are so many of voices that can actually practicalize it and even demonstrate to you how it can give us numbers and grow the economy of South Africa. So I agree fully. We need to have that industrialization policy. We need that strategy on employment. But at the center of that strategy of employment should be the youth. When we say 50% women, we must also put a percentage target about the youth, because they've become the victims, the biggest victims now. And then the numbers are reaching a level where it is actually a threat on its own to everyone, because you know how the youth behave. If they reach a boiling point, like they did in 1976, no one will have control over them. By the way, the ANC didn't have control over 1976. When the youth said enough in 1976, the ANC issued a statement in exile condemning the youth of 1976. You must go and look at the first statement of the ANC after 1976, June 16 uprising, because they didn't have control over it. Even Winnie Mandela didn't have control over it. She was just called that bodies are collapsing outside, are being shot at. And she went out there, she was picking up people, taking people to hospitals and so on and so forth. That's what is going to happen with the youth unemployment.
Sure.
You are forcing the youth to reach that point, and will all not be safe. No one, not even us, we can go and talk to them, because they will say, we gave you a chance for 13 years. In that 13 years, what did you do? The unemployment amongst us as the youth, amongst us as the township youth, it has increased. We ought to have a target, and the president must sit on that one. When a matter becomes a national crisis, it's no longer a responsibility of ministers. It's a responsibility of a president. That's why when COVID came, he decided to wear an oversized uniform of soldiers and went to address us, because he knew we are now dealing with a crisis now. And once you reach that level, I must take over as a president. So we're at that level where the president has to say, from my office, on daily basis, I ought to be briefed about this unemployment, particularly about the youth. We can't have a minister of employment without clearly defined target of this immediate crisis, and these are the targets you must give me. There was noise. We were going to sign contracts, delivery contracts, performance contracts. What happened to those contracts? Nothing. Then they said they are going to bring inspectors. Again, it goes back to the issue of foreign nationals, which I entirely agree with South Africans. Inspectors ought to go in and check how many South Africans are employed here. And these foreigners that you have employed, what skill are they bringing which South Africans cannot produce? Because I went to raid a restaurant in Mall of Africa. The owner refused to open. I said, if you don't open, there won't be business here today. He realized, because I knew that restaurant opens for lunch. So I went 2 hours before lunch. I said, if you don't open, no problem. There's not going to be business here. We're not disrupting your business. We're exercising our right. We're going to stand outside and sing. And there's no one who wants to eat while people are singing outside struggle songs. So, and then he came to the table to negotiate. He said to me, Julius, here's the advert. I advertised 10 chefs. Give me 10 now. I'll hire them. I've got no policy of hiring foreign nationals. I've got no such a policy. Give me now. I'm looking at those EFF people who were with me, chefs, madam. They didn't have chefs. So, then I left satisfied that I can't give him what he wants. So I can't force him. He's running a business. He wants chefs. He wants to cook. So if I say, no, if it's not South African, you're not going to cook, I'm closing that business. But had I had a chef, and then I'll say, no, give me this foreigner and take the chef. And we made a call where you are being replaced with foreigners who think they took your job because you are qualified for that job. And more qualified, more than them sometimes. Callers will give you that job back to you. That's what inspectors from the employment department should do. He spoke about inspectors. Till today, I have not seen one inspector. He even gave a number in the State of the Nation address. I can't remember what was the number of inspectors he's going to hire this year. Nothing. 10,000. 10,000 inspectors. Instead of these tribalists who are marching, Vonyo Malema, instead of saying, where are the 10,000 jobs that you spoke about of inspectors? Bring them here. They say, no, Malema said the foreigners must come here. But here are the 10,000 jobs which were given through the State of the Nation address. That there's going to be 10,000 inspectors. Where are they? Let's get these inspectors. Let's put them in all the employment places to inspect who is employed there and what rare skill are they bringing. Can't we find that rare skill for you? And have a huge database, by the way. Huge employment department database that we are allowed to just go on its website and say chefs. It just goes chefs in Midrand. It gives us a list. We print a list and give you. Inspectors standing there. So we're being made to fight because someone is not doing his job somewhere. And an impression is created that, no, we prefer foreigners over our own. Correct. It's not correct.
To me, we've run out of time. Can we take maybe a row of the final questions and then give the CSU to close?
All right. I just want to check perhaps if there are any pressing questions and if they could be rounded up in just one question so we can just take them.
Yeah. Let's say Lorato there next to
just briefly, please, because I wanted to see if we can get maybe 5 pressing questions.
Yes.
Let's just get them brief. And
5 in a row, and then the CSU will reply to all of them. And if I can apologize for running over, so that I know that you had budgeted up to this time, so we'll give another 15 more minutes to round off. I apologize for that. But go ahead, Lorato, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Prof. My name is Lorato Tsinkeng. I'm an ordinary young man from Taung, and I'm the non-executive chairperson of the Rivonia Circle. It would be unfair, Dr. Malema, to expect the EFF to take every struggle of South Africans, right? Particularly because of capacity constraints, resource constraints. But I think there are low-hanging fruits, particularly around jobs. So I've written 2 pieces. One is around in 2022 when Ndade Sipho was appointed as the, to do this. What's this unlocking of cutting red tape?
Cutting red tape,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. And it was the reflection was on what I had not seen happening, particularly around the payment of service providers in 30 days. And I did a follow-up this year with another article after the president had said in the State of the Nation address that if every business, small business in South Africa, at least employed 1 or 2 people, would create 3 million jobs. And the report of Treasury of the 2024-25, there were 460,000 unpaid invoices to the value of 40 billion rands, right? And we know that a lot of the small businesses struggle particularly because of cash flow, right? Why, if we know these numbers, because these numbers are reported and they are accessible as public information, why is it if the EFF profess itself to be, and I'm not saying you're not doing enough, right? But I'm saying there's a low-hanging fruit here where there's an opportunity for the EFF to ensure that these 460,000 invoices are prioritized. Gauteng and the Eastern Cape are the worst culprits, particularly in health, in health, and the less said about the past MEC of health in Gauteng, the better. But the point that I'm really making about that is that I think there's an opportunity here to unlock jobs because many small businesses are being strangled by invoices that are not paid by government within 30 days. And I am not seeing, and Prof. JJ Taban, when he started, he was speaking about he does not see solidarity among media people. And I'm not feeling that kind of solidarity from the EFF, and it would be good to see that.
Well, let's take that issue because, we dealt with that issue when we were in Igurlin. When Dunga became the MMC of Finance, one of the first meetings he called was service providers who are not paid. Put them in a hall and brought the finance department inside every section where the payment starts and ends. They went to each and every section because the MMC was clear. Where every requirements are made, you must pay. And we paid the highest number of service providers in Ikurulin, which were not being paid. Why? Because that thing became somehow transparent. That if I don't pay JJ, it's going to be too obvious because we're in this big open process. Because the reason you are not paying JJ is this 40 million, all of it is going to JJ. There are some people who are going to benefit out of it. And I'm not counted there. Then you sit on the invoice of JJ. There are no reasons. So once we say lined up, go from one to the last, it gets stuck with you. Or what's wrong? Because the invoice ended here. Why are you not paying? No. It's not meeting the requirement. No, it's fine. So, process. That's what I told him now when he became the MEC. I said, one of the things you need to do is to have regular meetings with the service providers, particularly unpaid service providers, and make no apology about it. Because majority of them are blacks. They don't do corruption with white people. They're scared of them. So the white companies are paid. The black ones are the ones that get locked. Once the name looks familiar and sounds familiar, they say, no, who's this one? He must come here. So we are going to fight that in Gauteng, in the Department of Finance. The biggest culprits, health and education. Education, they don't pay. How do you not pay feeding scheme? What do they call it? They call it with a different name, but they're in the villages, we call it feeding scheme. But I'm not from here. You don't pay the service provider of feeding scheme, but children must eat on Monday. Where does he get that money from? Because the service provider has to pay those people who are producing this food in order to distribute them to schools. You don't pay, they have no money to buy. Even if they buy, they have no money to distribute. So we must make sure, especially on those issues that touch lives, scholar transport, feeding scheme, the health must be a non-negotiable. Otherwise, we are going to get into its domain. You're not going to pay people. People will be unable to take care of patients, and they will die in numbers, and you'll go to jail. That's why as an MEC, you must stand up. Don't say pay JJ. You must stand up and say pay service providers, and I want a weekly report of how many have we paid this week. Because the problem with us politicians, we do this thing as if it's a part-time job. Like, hey, you know that guy spoke about service providers there. How far are we? How far are we? How far are we? Then we talk about it then and we leave it then. We don't do it weekly as our job. That weekly, this is our target. The president goes to Amanskral. People are drinking dirty water. They've got cholera. Then he leaves Amanskral. The water is still dirty to date. He has gone long time ago. No plan, no nothing. As a president, I find cholera, and they say there was a water plant problem. So I tell you, my Tuesday office, it's here. Establish an office here. Every Tuesday I come here. Why every Tuesday? Because every Monday president goes to do ANC work. There's no excuse. His diary is cleared. Monday is an ANC day. If he can do it with the ANC, why is he not doing it with water where life is being lost? If there's so much of unpaid invoices, why is the president not saying to the Minister of Finance, if you don't attend to this, I'm going to have to take it to my office? We have a big problem here. The problem is with regard to the executive that is not exercising his executive powers. Because as long as he gets his potion, he doesn't care what happens. They are there for the potions. And then palace politics, not to dirty their hands. The president must, you know that president who died in Tanzania he died of COVID. I'm forgetting his name now. Magufuli. Magufuli goes to a government project, arrives there, and then there's no progress. Who's the owner? Lorato is the owner. Where's Lorato? He's not here. Where is he? He's in the US. He says, I'm not going to live here until Lorato arrives here. He sits there. He's going to arrive and put terms himself. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't expect to find this when I come back. And there will be a huge progress. That's a president who was hands-on.
Hands-on.
How does the president die of COVID? They realize we have a problem here. We need to finish this thing. I'm telling you, because the only working president dies of COVID. These lazy ones, they are staying. How does COVID miss Mnangagwa? You can't have that. So we want a president like that who goes and sit there. But even before you go as a president, already you have an intelligence of what's happening. Work out the plan. Come here. What can be done in between now and then? When you arrive there, we are politicians, you listen. But you have already had the problem. You know what they are talking about. Or, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take action now. But you have already set up systems. Tomorrow, in the meantime, the TLB will come here and re-gravel this road. You know you have spoken to the mayor and the minister. Why are you not re-graveling the road, man? I'm going to tell those people tomorrow you are going to re-gravel the road. And then they're going, but today, president can't give a mayor of Ikurule any instruction. Can't give any mayor instruction because of factional reasons. It's my faction. If I fight with him, I lose Ikurule. So how do you have an executive that cannot issue executive instructions that are binding on all of the subordinates? There is no minister of education, by the way. There's no minister of anything. Those people, if they were to be called with their real titles are assistant president on education. Yeah, they are assisting the. All of that thing is the president. He can wake up tomorrow and say, I'm taking education, like he did with intelligence. Intelligence, yes, there was corruption and all of that. It's not our immediate crisis. Bread and butter. There's a problem of pit toilets in education. Bring it here. You take 6 months, you resolve it, you take it back. You go and concentrate on your education. But for this 6 months, I'm running education. I want to deal with this. That's how I run the EFF, by the way. I give you a task to bring 10 buses.
Yeah.
You bring 3. Why? Why do you bring 3? Because you've got all the capacity to bring 10. Why did you bring 3? No, chief. I said.
So you'll go and bring the 7.
I will bring the 7, and I take over your task, by the way, and I execute it myself. That's why before I go to a rally, before there is a rally, I go to a rally to listen to a speaker or test these speakers. There is no EFF rally that has had a speaker that said during speech. I listen to every small detail of everything I do. This you should not have held here. You should have brought it to the EFF offices. Look at them from when you enter the door to the last level. Because there are days where I go unannounced and I just walk those offices and check them. Particularly the public toilets that are used by our visitors. I go into those toilets and I say, I want a person who was assigned to clean these toilets. Look at this. You cannot treat our people like this. You don't come to these toilets. Our people, when they enter, they wait at the reception. Later on, they are asked to come in. Before they come in, they will have asked for a toilet, and then they get subjected to that. 2, an organization that says it cares for the poor. We are ready to govern. I'm everywhere. Twitter, they say, Tswane, this street is dirty. I don't call you. I just forward that thing to you on your WhatsApp as MMC. Or what's happening now? Call me dictator. But I'm doing my work. We're not yet to romanticize each other. We're here to do the work for the benefit of the public. And that's what South Africa is missing. They must go and look at EFF and see what will happen to their country if the president of the EFF becomes the president of this country. There will be no one. How does an adult sit in an office with a falling ceiling? Adult. Go to Home Affairs now. What do you tell your children? At home you tell clean, clean, clean. You every day go to the office of Home Affairs, of Department of Health. The ceiling is falling. You're doing nothing about it. I will never sit in that kind of environment where the state properties just degenerate. And I'm told I'm a president, I can't be seen interfering. Interfering means no. Give Snao a tender to go and clean those toilets. Clean those toilets. That's my instruction. Those are my executive powers. That's not interference. I'm doing my job. That's what I'm being elected to do.
Do me?
JJ, as you've heard, the hand of the CIC, I'm also briefed here that those who hold his diary need him out of this room. I get your head how he works. So if he's late for his next engagement, we don't want Bovuyani calling us and saying, but guys, you heard from yourself. So please, can we just be sensitive to time? I'm not sure if we can take just maybe brief hands. It has to be very brief. It can't be long. Just so that we can get the CIC out. He really needs to leave. We're meant to finish at 3 o'clock. So I don't know, Prof, how many hands, and if we could just please
take
facilitate.
3 more at the
we have one who already has their hand. I'll just take the last 3. Just one question, please, and then ask that he needs to leave now.
All right.
Brief questions, colleagues. Thank you. Just one.
Right. Thank you, JJ and Dumelanda Malema. So on the Equity Equivalent Investment Program, or Rapelang Mutsumi from TEC, I work with small businesses. So on the EIP, the Equity Equivalent Investment Program, so I know that the EFF is opposing it. So because it has been working in other sectors and you have not opposed it in other sectors, why are you opposing it in the telecom sector? And also the question is, if Elon and Starlink did not exist, would you still oppose the EIP? And also when you look at the public sector procurement, so because now it has been infiltrated by criminals, so how does the EFF, what's your thought on using the public sector procurement to stimulate entrepreneurship? And also we have heard that EFF is also contending for tenders in the Swahili municipality. So where does that put ordinary entrepreneurs who are trying to make an honest living?
Okay, let's take them back to me.
The question?
Then I'm going to forget because you said I must not bring my stuff. I'm going this way.
Kayan Duna here
I'll
from
remind you.
African Minds for Applied Research Institution. The first one is, are you grooming anyone to take over in the EFF, seeing that we have a leadership crisis in the country? Is there anyone that you're grooming or you are preparing to take over? Then the second thing, it's not a question, it's a quick advice. We have a serious problem in townships. I think we all are aware of the issue of decorum in our township schools. An advice to you is wherever EFF has capacity and governs in those communities, please make sure that you deploy some of your people to solve the issues of decorum. Your policies don't reflect your attitude and your lifestyle. Most probably your kid, I don't know, I'm assuming most probably your child goes to St. Stadians, St. John's, St. Peter's. It's small issues that we must look at as black people, things that sometimes don't require much capital and the government to intervene. You have influence. EFF has influence. Wherever EFF has capacity and governs, fix the issue of decorum in our townships, make parents be proud of going to some of the things, the reasons why parents are not able to go to meetings. It's not transport or anything. So we are meeting. Like your child is not proud of you coming to a meeting to solve the issues of the school and the society. So I'm saying small issues do not require the government.
Okay. Mzili Gazi?
Okay, Zilgazwa Africa here from Unpopular Opinion Podcast. So, short one. So, South Africa as a country, we lack a culture of accountability and responsibility. In Rwanda, like every year, the president takes the people out in what they call Umshikirano, where the cabinet meet the people and the people question the ministers on, last year in June, you promised to build a school, and today there's no school. And the minister gets fired. That's a cabinet of the people, by the people. Here in South Africa, ministers make promises for 100 years. Nothing happens to them, even when they don't deliver. That's not a question. I think we need to find a way of installing that culture of responsibility and accountability, where we bring cabinet to the people and they get questioned by people on their promises that they're making every election. So my question to you is, we have Zondo and we have Madlanga Commission. Zondo had 1 billion budget. Madlanga Commission has got almost less than 2 million budget. And as so far, Madlanga Commission has unearthed more scandals than the Zondo Commission. Why there's no budget for Madlanga Commission? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Ndicheni Gomura. I'm from the MKP in Johannesburg. Early this year in March in Cape Town, the IEC held a national dialogue on electronic voting. I just want to know what's the EFF's attitudes towards that. And lastly, what is the EFF's monthly spend on black business? I just want to understand that. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ndate Tabani, Ndate Malema.
Yeah.
I work as an artist. I worked for a show called Umkoka. It closed down. I worked for a show called My Brother's Keeper. It closed down. I worked for a show called Scandal. It closed down. I worked for a show called Spongilenda Laminis. It closed down. My question is this: what is the EFF's position in terms of the cultural, creative industries, being well aware of the amount of jobs that one production creates? What is it in terms of finding a way? Because if you look at countries like Rwanda, where your social media platforms, youngsters are able to monetize the content rather that they make. What is the intervention that the EFF would like to make, where you have giants like Okanal, where decisions have to be made in Paris when we are submitting in Randburg? Where does that put us as the cultural industry? And lastly, a question that a brother next to me said I must ask is, what happened to the Black Progressive Caucus insofar as the state of the state is concerned? Is the state hollowed out, and will the Black Progressive Caucus be relied upon to reinstate the scrambled egg?
Ntate ke mang?
Oh, so kina tshepo ya rona Mamatu.
Thank you. Okay, I think we will leave it there. CSC, close for us. You've got 5 minutes.
Well, I may not answer all of them because it was back to back. Well, there's no, again, you see, that's where you make a mistake. As a young, intelligent person who's involved with different small business, because majority of small business is our people. And it will therefore be misleading that the EFF is involved in tenders in Tswane. It's not implicated anyway. So you must have the ability to listen and not be agitated by what excites you, because that's what they want to do to you. They say a man took a list of companies to
the CFO.
To Nkosi, for Nkosi to forward to the Deputy Chief of Police to check the Deputy Chief of Police, who must now check with the CFO if this is an authentic list from the EFF. Then there's never been any report that came back and said this is an authentic list of the EFF. No one has ever said this is a list of the EFF. They say, then the chief of police comes and says, I can't say the list is from the EFF because the people who gave me the list are from the ANC. I know them from school. I don't know if they have changed now. But for anyone to suggest that the list I received is EFF, that will be wrong. He says that in the commission, but he doesn't hear it. The young man doesn't hear it. When it comes to the facts, he closes his ears. He says the EFF in Tswane. But it was clarified there. That's why you'll never have the EFF there. The desperation to have the EFF persecuted is extreme. But EFF brings excitements to the ears of people. Out of excitement, they don't listen, analyze, and make a conclusion. I wish you do that. You can replay those things. They are there on Madlanga website. You can hear the facts for yourself. So the black young people who are involved in tenders are more than protected by the EFF. They will be given a preference and they will always be given support. We can't just give you a tender and we say we give young people tenders and we give you a tender and we turn our back on you. We must look at capacity and mobilize the necessary support as government to make sure that you succeed. There was 500 million of sponsorships that was set aside. No one has ever asked what happened to that 500 million. The minister is going up and down. As to what she's doing, no one knows. But we're told sponsorships were going to receive support. We have not seen any report in relation to that. Monies get set aside to support young entrepreneurs, and we don't see through what's happening there. There's this useless institution called NYDA. We only hear that they spend millions in New York. What are they doing in New York? Because they are needed in Mujaji. They are needed in Matatiel, not New York. So, exactly what we need to do as government, support young people, not only by giving them tenders, because we shouldn't bring up tenderpreneurs. We need to bring entrepreneurs and make sure that there is a skill, and that skill makes contribution to the growth of the economy. Because being an entrepreneur means a disruption to your industry. So if you are like St. Clair's, you are in furniture. You cannot just be in furniture and buy from Ellerins to come and sell to us. No, you must disrupt the furniture sector by introducing a style and things that are not what we are used to in that particular sector. And so that when we come to you, we know it's not mediocre. It must not be mediocre, especially when it's black. And that's why Prof says, you go everywhere in the world, you find the best from South Africa. You know what makes us the best? Is that we survived under very difficult times. Imagine if we were to live in a conducive environment where our potential is unearthed by this environment that says, hey man, come up, come, not suppress you. Even when we're suppressed, we produced professors. Imagine if we are not oppressed, what we are going to do as black people ourselves. In the EFF, I just gave you example of Sitle Lonzi. I gave you examples of so many young people. Again, when I'm asked the question, do you have a successor? They want me to say, Vuyan is going to be my successor. Dictator. It's anointing. It's anointing. Succession doesn't work like that. It works according to whether you've got a plan for the second and the third layer of generation of leadership. And I've articulated that to you. I've even put names as a demonstration that we've got no poverty of ideas or leadership. I haven't been into parliament in a long time, but EFF there hasn't declined. I was occupied with the ad hoc committee, but the EFF there has been articulative. Again, I invite you to go and look at the speech that was given by MEC of Finance in Gauteng, outlining the state of affairs. That's what he inherited. The problems can be this big. But do you have someone who appreciates what we are confronted with? And is there a political willingness to deal with that? And when you listen to that man, young man, you get revived that there are still so many people amongst our ranks who can rescue our country and our movement. The issue on the decorum was tricky. I don't know if you got it, but because what you are saying is not true. Our parents will never have no clothes to go to a meeting. Never. In our families, poor as we are, I hosted, and I did it deliberately. I hosted women on Mother's Day, women from a women's hostel in Alexandra. I took them from Alexandra and I said to them, you must wear what you wear when you go to Mqimbi because I'm taking you to a restaurant in Sandton, 200 of them. Our mothers and our fathers always have that item that is meant for special occasion. And we even tell them, hey, ma, but you don't even point at it. But they know. So we need to create a culture of going to meetings, especially school meetings. Our parents must go. They don't go to meetings. They don't do community meetings. They live in that community. They don't go to community meetings. But they go to activities in that community. Where do they get clothes to go to that community activities that they attend every weekend? Have you ever been to Skukuni on Saturday, Sunday? Meeting you can call EFF meeting and say whatever. When they go to Mqimbi, the whole village goes there. And they're not going naked. They're going wearing clothes with their children. So we need to revive our parents used to come to meetings. You know those community meetings in our township, they were held at night even. We're waiting for them to come back from work. We'll have meetings at school at night with communities to deal with crime. We used to raid. I come from a township. You know, the thing with me is that I didn't join the struggle through Twitter. I came through the ranks. You know why I don't smoke dacha? So I was a marshal. And then we were found smoking dacha. We're taken to a community meeting and they said, explain. We explained, but we are not exemplary. And we're beaten in front of a community by comrades. We're not allowed to do wrong things. So, and those meetings were so full to an extent that even others will attend from outside through windows. You have to recognize the ones inside and recognize the ones outside. We got our democracy, then they destabilized all those organs of people's power. I was telling Vuyan a story that I was a member of a Seshio Community Policing Forum. We used to have a meeting at police station. That's how much those organs of people's power were functional. We need to go and revive those, where people become part of the decision making and not surrendering power into the hands of the politicians. Because when we are a community policing forum, we know who's committing crime where. Where must we go with the police to conduct raids and all of that? Let's revive that spirit of community involvement. The culture of accountability is being replaced by people doing as they wish without anyone touching them. No one. You know why General Sibia can steal a fridge, a bar fridge? It's because they do as they wish. It's no longer even a problem. He knows nothing will happen. He stole that bar fridge, whether that lady gave it to her or not. By virtue of affording that fridge, they get a sponsor of fridges to go and give to the best performing police. Then the sponsor gives them more. One fridge remains. That woman takes it and give it to her, to him. He accepts it. If that is not thieving, what do you call it? Because he should have said in his right conscience, my guy, you can't give me a fridge that is meant for best performing police at the lower rank. It can even go to an extent of nominating his relative or anything in some police station somewhere there. But they're so used like, they just take. So we need to revive that. We need to get ministers fired. You see, the problem is that you want to be liked at all costs. You are not money. You can't be loved by everyone. You're not money. And our relationship should be very clear. The president of the EFF, the deputy president, the SG, the DSG, the TG, each one of them know what they must do. And when we come to a meeting, you must account about your department. Again, Rwanda is a very good example. We might differ with the president of Rwanda when it comes to international politics. Might not agree, especially on issues between Rwanda and DRC. But on leadership, whether you like it, my guy, you must take a decision. Whether it's wrong or right, decision. What are we dealing with? Not well. Take a decision. So that's what the president of Rwanda does. Today we are not driving cars. We are all walking, cleaning our city. There is no one here with a moral authority in South Africa who can say, in this municipality, on such and such a date, no movement. I'm a mayor. We're all going to clean this municipality. I went to a municipality called Tabazimbi. The illegal dumping in some squatter camp, I forgot the name. It piled beyond the height of those shacks and houses. And when, with illegal dumping, when it piles like that, when you look at it, you don't realize you're facing a problem. So I'm like, no, I'm coming, let's deal with this. We're cleaning. Yes. We found a huge problem. We were not finishing cleaning that illegal dumping. Now we finish eventually. An old man comes out of a shack. It's an illegal squatter camp. So I see this security fighting with this old man. I'm like, what's happening there? They say, no, this old man, but it's dark. Because we stayed until late. This old man wants to come and thank you. Could not allow him to come and thank me. He comes, he says, no, they are blocking me. I want to thank you. I stay in that shack that is next to this illegal dumping. I didn't realize there was a problem until when you have cleared this place. That's why I'm coming at night. Get why? Are such a good fresh air coming into my direction. I was like, there's something wrong here. Because we got so used to a bad smell that we normalized it.
Sure.
So you go everywhere in the black townships. You find a squatter camp like this. You go to Newark, we went to clean Newark last week, where millions go through every day. But you still don't care just to pick it up, to have people who are permanently targeting that area because you know there is a problem there. You must have targets. No one has got that. Not even a mayor has got that. So we need Rwanda's approach in terms of service delivery and accountability of political leadership. But equally, someone said triple peace. We support that.
Yeah.
We work with business that, the model that Paul, again, you don't give him that credit. The person who came with Gauteng is Paul Mashatile. And I said to him, the problem, Paul, you don't speak, man. You go and tell this story. They conceptualized it. Paul conceptualized that thing and went into triple peace. Today we are done paying for that Gauteng. That's why we are going to the second phase. It was Paul Mashatile. Let Cyril show you what he gave you. Because you are told when Cyril goes, we are going to have a problem. It was Paul who established this Gauteng. He has been in the leadership of Gauteng for years. Look at the developments that we see in Gauteng. Yes, many problems, but do not discount.
All right.
And that was triple peace.
Okay, that's it. We must close it now.
You can't build schools without triple peace. This thing that you guys just give yourself a job of wanting to do everything. You ought to say those who have money come in. Yeah. Let's build these schools that we want to build in our country. The money for Madlanga Commission. No, don't worry, Chief. There's no... Madlanga will do his work.
Yeah.
Whatever the budget. If Madlanga feels he's not satisfied, he must just write a letter and say, I'm not satisfied. And when someone says there's no money, we'll battle it out and we'll even go to court to get a court order that instructs them to find money anywhere where the money is to get this work done. Electronic version of elections, as young people, you cannot oppose that. But we can't trust the IEC in the current form. I was saying to JJ, no one can tell us who designed the IT system of the IEC. And that's why I agree with Zuma. The elections were stolen, my guy. I couldn't join Zuma because it's not about what you know. It's about what you can prove. So I'm not going to be like that, just go to court. I know what happened. Let me tell you, in my voting station, they stole our elections. I queued for that thing, incompetency of the IEC. I queued on the queue for 4 hours with my wife. Voted EFF. We won. Then the deputy president of the EFF who was around went to my station to take the results slip. And went to the IEC capturing center. And I challenged the IEC and I challenge you who call yourself investigating journalists, especially Mzilikazi. Go. He went to the results center and said, he didn't give them the receipt. He said, can I please see the results of Mponegele Lower Primary School? They proudly typed there and it popped up. They swapped EFF numbers with the ANC, IEC. And then he said, no, these are not the results. I'm telling you, 2024, I was robbed to be president of this country. He said, this is a receipt. This is a receipt of the result slip of Mponegele Lower Primary. They started running around and they changed it. Who designed the IT system of the IEC? Because after capturing the results at the capturing center, the results get sent to the results center, to that big board there. The results are not coming through. We're all waiting. The results are not coming through. Then the information comes, no, there is a glitch. That's why the screen is not updating. We wait for 5 hours. When the screen comes back, the numbers have changed. Why am I saying they're stealing? And I agree with Zuma in that. Because they don't allow monitors, election monitors of the IT system. There are no party agents for the IT system. There are no party agents of the capturing. There are no party agents. The party agents end where you have voted. As to what happens until the results are shown on this big screen, there's no monitoring. It's not allowed. Sure. So as an old man at 45 years, who's not that clued up with the IT, I might not be amenable to electronic voting. But the youth must not oppose that. The youth have to come with innovative method on how we're going to monitor it. Because we're already doing it in the universities, Prof. People are voting electronically, and the students are able to monitor the votes. But the IEC doesn't allow us not to monitor, not even the votes, the capturing. There's no black person who had a capacity to design an IT, or will they have allowed a black person to design an IT for IEC in 1994? They were not going to allow that. It's probably designed by the Jews. That is a high possibility. Then they say the votes have gone to the auditing. We don't know who appointed the auditing firms. We don't know who owns the auditing firms that audit the votes. In these votes of South Africa, so what we need to do now, we need to invest heavily with that experience of the deputy president of the EFF, who was able to produce a proof and the results were changed. It tells us that we need to invest heavily on monitors, the election party agents, so that when we fight it, we don't fight it the way President Zuma fights it. We just say, okay, this comrades say this is what happened, but we don't have material evidence. And once I join that to say the elections are stolen and I can't produce anything, JJ, it means I'm playing with the lives of young people, ordinary young people who are going to go to the streets and fight and say elections are stolen because Malema says elections are stolen, and they get shot and they get killed. And history says to me, which proof did you have? I'm unable to produce proof because I do not have monitors at the voting stations. We need to invest heavily on our monitors. Black Progressive Caucus, you saw it in action yesterday. Where we agree, we're going to work together. Where we disagree, we'll disagree. We're not an alliance. We're not a coalition. But if there is a meeting of mind on this matter, we'll do the same. We have done that with Herman Mashaba. We agreed with him and we disagreed with him. He calls himself a capitalist. I don't think he knows what is a capitalist. He's not a capitalist. A capitalist is the owner of the means of production. He doesn't own any means of production. Yeah. What are the means of production? Is the land, is the mines, is the financial sector, is the monopoly industries. He, even during Black Like Me, he didn't have any monopoly. He knows that. So he is not a capitalist. Someone ought to help him. And you must help him because you worked with him before. You must make him understand what is a capitalist, because he thinks it's a fancy word that you just throw around. We agree fully with the input of the artist and the cultural industry. Yes. America is made what it is by cultural industry. Absolutely. Many of you have never been to America, but you have been to America. That's why every time when America fights with Iran or anyone, you think America is going to win. Because all the movies you saw, American flag always rise at the end and it wins. So they used culture to colonize us, to colonize the mind. And we can use culture to create employment and to decolonize our people. That these are the imperialist forces who are monopolizing us through culture. Artists, look at how many jobs. Without a state intervention, Amapiano is created. Those are artists. And Amapiano, that's why it was able to replace the one that was before Amapiano. Kwaito. Not Kwaito, no, the one after Kwaito.
Gom.
Gom is Durban. Not house. There was a one before Amapiano. So it was very good. That's why you say it's Gom. But Gom is predominantly Durban and Western Cape and Eastern Cape. The other version of Gom, it was not. It didn't have. I don't know, but I'll remember it. It just had a beat. It didn't have lyrics, and that's why Amapiano was able to replace it. Because Amapiano brought music. It brought lyrics. People who sing. That one, that's go. And then there was a big guy there in KZN. Yeah. And when it finishes, you're like, what is this thing saying? But now, Amapiano came. Nkosazana's daughter sings. And the beat is also good. Mahu sings. The beat is good. So there's music. You feel connected to God. Listen to our prayers. Hear our prayers. So with the rest, you couldn't hear that. But anyway, and that's what I said to the EFF in our planning session, in our plenary, where I said, we had all commissions, but we didn't have a commission on sports, arts, and culture. And that's why we made a terrible mistake. Because we relegated to prisoners. Because we think it's insignificant. You can give it to a clown to run it. That's the most important department that you can use to decolonize society, to create jobs, but also to grow the South African economy.
Round of applause, please, for my guest. Thank you for always agreeing to come and talk to us. All the best. We know that it's going to be a hectic few months towards the elections. We hope to talk to you closer to the elections again, but specifically on local government issues. All the best. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I appreciate each and every one of you for this. We'll have a few of these podcast events throughout the year around the country, bringing other leaders to come and talk to them. But until we talk frankly again, may God bless you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please make you.
This is the journey to One Africa.